He's
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Where did all this sound stuff come from? What? What are we talking about here? Oh, no.
sounds like we're just talking.
We are. We are live right now. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Welcome, everybody, to the Fuel Pod, episode 81. We are still working on some of our graphics because a lot of it I actually have to learn some software, which I've been taking some tutorials on. But I'd like to welcome everybody to episode 81. Don't Fear the Reaper. This is a memorial statement, this title, based on Guenther Steiner getting canned by Haas a little over a week ago and letting him know, don't fear that Reaper. You'll come back. And we'll talk about where that might be possibly in the episode of this show. So I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome two Diddy 4 below me right there in that Brady Bunch picture right there. And then
there you go.
I'm having trouble
There
with
you go.
cameras. And then my son Jason also with us tonight, and he's got a special little presentation tonight too, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
But we're going to be talking Dakar. We're going to be talking Formula One. We're going to be talking a little bit of WRC just because we got the new cars in this week. Going to talk the Rolex 24 and the F1 Academy just a little bit. But the first thing, and really the only thing going on in racing this week that kind of really matters on the global stage, is the Dakar Desert Rally 2024. And I realize I'm one of, besides the two people below me in this presentation, I'm one of the only 11 people in the country in the U.S. side of this that probably watch this or care. But Tim and Tom Cornell, if you're listening tonight, man, I hope you appreciate what we are covering and trying to bring this race, not trying to bring the physical race to this country, but trying to bring this race to some fans here in the United States, because just to be able to compete in this race, man, these guys, and we've said it before, Mikey, that these guys are just world class athletes. Basically, simply based on the highlights and the pieces of the race I've been able to watch, because I do have to work every day like you guys do, but being able to catch it when I can, just constantly amazed year after year at the level of sportsmanship in this race.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So here you're looking at a map of the race this year, which started on the 5th of January and is going to the 19th, which is tomorrow. We have results through stage 11, which we're going to get to, but I know this is a small map when you're looking at it, but this is 4,889 miles of desert and rock terrain in every form of weather that you could possibly be hit with, day after day after day after day. Including, and Mike, I'm sure you'll probably bring this up too, but the 48-hour cannon round where they basically slept with their car until the cannon went off the following day. And then, as the Fuel Pod, our unofficial patrons for the Dakar Desert Rally are Tim and Tom Cornell. And I hope they accept our unofficial partnership, because it's been a pleasure just to kind of follow their social media the past couple weeks, and I know you've got to do it more than I have, but
they've been
getting to follow them as they just continually, and it's given us a chance to kind of latch on to somebody, and I'm not going to say that we know, but somebody that we're familiar with, and getting through this race, which is an amazing dirt and sand and rock race. So that being said, let's kind of get through this Dakar piece. So for those of you who don't know, that don't get interested, I think there's a lot of people out there, especially in this part of the country, that could get into that right there. While it definitely looks like your standard dirt bike, these guys are competing. You can definitely tell if you're a dirt biker and you look up there towards the handlebars, there's a lot of junk going on up there. So that's where their road book and their computer is. It tells them where to go in the desert, since they're not given actual directions to where they're going. And this is one of the Red Bull KTM bikes. So the current standings for the motorcycles are Branch. I think he's from Australia, and then Ricky Brayback, he's from the U.S. and then Adrian Van Beveren, which is from France. But there's only like 32 seconds separating first and second. And
That's
only
not very
three.
much.
Yeah, no
That's not
joke,
very
right?
much.
So when they come out tomorrow, or if they're doing it right now because of the time difference, when they come out for the next stage, for the final stage, stage 12, Branch will get to start, and in literally 32 seconds, they'll release Brabeck to start from the bivouac. So he's only 32 seconds behind him. And Van Beveren is only 3 minutes and 17 seconds behind Brabeck. So what you're thinking about there, because these guys have to service their own bikes, is if any one of these guys has a flat tire or a broken wheel, and that's it.
Yeah.
Not even probably fourth and fifth place have a shot at it at that point. So that's where we are with the bikes right now. And as an American, obviously, I'm going to put my money behind Brabeck there, and hopefully he gets it in there.
I would say if you just slide in the stand, it's going to take you more than 38 seconds to get up and knock some dust off of you and get back on and go.
If you do like that one dude, Pescherina, that broke his arm on day one, and I mean, just think about it. You freaking do a header and do a yard sale on the dirt right there. Anybody could pass you at that point. So but yeah, I do like this the Ross Branch character. That dude's a character. I do like him, but I gotta put that American flag behind Brabeck and hope he can get the US up there to win. Next up, we have the cars. And my boy is up front right now, Carlos Sainz. And this is Carlos Sainz Sr., not the one in the red Ferrari for Formula One. But here's another thing, dude. And these are cars. And the cars, as we'll find out when we talk about Tim and Tom, these cars have had wheel and tire problems the entire Dakar rally. Punctures, broken wheels flying off, dogs and cats living together, complete pandemonium. So I remember the first day, I think Sainz had 2 or 3 punctures on his own.
Yeah.
So he's up there right now, but he is only 4 minutes ahead. 4 minutes and 11 seconds, if you want to be technical. And Stefan Petterhansel from France is 24 minutes. He's the guy in third place right now. He's 24 minutes behind the leader. And of course, Ekstrom is the one I just mentioned, 4 minutes behind. But with cars, it's like the bikes on steroids as far as how far behind you are, because anything happens with a car. I don't know, Mikey, how quick can you change a tire in 24 minutes and 32 seconds? Because I sure as shit can't.
No, I don't think I can.
I mean, I don't have a pneumatic,
I'm going to be cussing it for the first half hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first thing. I'm going to get a drink of water and then F-bomb the shit out of the desert right there. And then I'm probably going to ask myself, why am I here? What am I doing? Right, Jason, what are your thoughts, buddy?
I mean, change the tires pretty easy, so, might have a shot
in 24 minutes and 32 seconds, you ever timed yourself?
Light work.
Okay, so the young cat says, yeah, no problem. 24 minutes and 30 seconds, I can do it. So that's Petterhansel. And the bikes and the cars are obviously the people that do follow this race. That's the most popular piece. But I want people to know that there are guys out there. And if this looks like a garbage truck to you, that's because that front end basically is.
Yeah.
And this
I think I see that driving my house every day.
This photo was not taken just for publicity. These guys are jumping these trucks. There's 3 dudes on a team. They're sitting on a bench seat for 5,000 miles together. I'm betting it's stank ass as hell in there. That whole back part of that truck is nothing but replacement parts for everything that's going to break when a truck is 10 feet in the air and has to land. And the reason I didn't do the standings on these guys is, while I definitely know some of them, some of the pronunciations on these names are ridiculous. Most of them are from Russia and the Netherlands, so I'm going to go ahead and apologize ahead of time. But this is actually my favorite mode, because I got
look pretty cool.
Super respect for this, man. I know on the game by Saber Interactive, this is the career I do, is the trucks, because to me this seems like the hardest challenge. And it may not be, but it's just the way I perceive it. And then we got to talk about our unofficial, unofficial patrons of the Fuel Pod
Patreon.
from a Dakar rally standpoint, which is Tim and Tom Cornell. They're
Believe it or
still in
not,
it.
they're brothers.
They are brothers. I realize there's
Couldn't
like
tell you that
no
one.
resemblance there. And if you guys are watching this, then I'm going to tell you right now,
Mind-blowing.
that's typical American sarcasm right there. You guys look exactly alike. But you see there, they're basically chilling out after a hard day's work. It looks like they're probably doing an interview of some kind.
Microphone right there, probably.
Yeah, he's holding a microphone. I don't know if that's Tim or Tom. I can't really tell. So I wish you guys the best. Guys,
Absolutely.
They had a tough stage 10. They had a broken wheel in stage 10. They got it looks like they put out a video on their broken wheel, but yeah, it cost them some serious time. But as you and and all of us have talked about the past couple weeks, for Dakar, just finishing this thing is an accomplishment to behold, as far as I'm concerned, in the world of motorsport. I'd like to say I finished it. Even if I was a week late to the finish line, it would be cool to say that. So my hat's off to them. I wish you guys the best on stage 12 and getting your all's butts back home to the Netherlands, because it looks like you guys got a lot of ventures going on back there that you got to get into. So I wish you guys the best on that as well.
Yeah, they've really been so much fun.
Mike, I know you've had some interaction with them, buddy.
The last couple of weeks, I've encouraged our listeners to give these guys a follow, and they haven't let me down at all. Just the fun times that they're having. Stage 7, they're going through there, and Tim's got his camera out. He's driving, but he turns his camera over to his brother, who's supposed to be navigating, but he's taking a little nap. And he puts that out on Twitter, and that gave me a good laugh. And then on the 48-hour stage at the midpoint, when they're camping out in the desert, they both got little tents. And Tom, he tweets out a little video. He's like, "Come here, let me show you this." And he walks over to Tim's tent, and Tim's in there just snoring away, just sawing some logs. And Tom's like, "I can't take it anymore. I got to move my tent." And you hear him dragging his tent behind him. But these guys are having so much fun. And today or yesterday, stage 10, you talked about the wheel coming off.
Right.
And Tim's down there. He's trying to assess the situation. There's Tom making videos. He's like, "Our wheel fell off. I guess I'll go get it. It's only 300 kilometers." And he shows it. And it's about 50 yards away, but he's going to say 300 kilometers.
Did he just worth it, guys? Did he just say it matter of factly, like, "Hey, bro, wheel fell off"? Oh man,
that's pretty much it. And these guys have been so much fun to follow, and like you said, they're not up there with Signs and those guys. They're here because they love it. This is what they love to do.
Well, man, listen,
and it is a hell of an accomplishment just to get through this thing.
And at least from the outside, these guys are an independent team.
Yeah.
You look at Sainz, he's got, and don't get me wrong, I love Carlos Sainz. He's one of my favorite drivers of all time, but he's got tons of backing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the world behind him. There's no salary cap on Dakar. So, I know he's got it made from that standpoint. You look at Tim and Tom, they're just throwing a team together with duct tape and baling wire, and they're getting out there and competing, which I think is awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be able to keep it going, and to say you made it made it to stage 12 after that 48-hour cannon stage, so it just sucks. I wish more people would get into some of this stuff, because it is an incredible race. I mean, it is the desert version of the Cannonball Run without Lonnie Anderson and Daisy Duke. So, it's one of those things where, I wish people would see more than just what's like. You even look at this part of the country where dirt track racing is king. This is the ultimate in dirt track racing right here. I mean, 5,000-mile dirt track race, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like WRC, which we'll talk about later. But, you know, there's a little bit of something for everybody in this style of racing. Whether you just love sports in general or the human spirit, the endearing human spirit of these guys getting out here to do this, because it takes a special kind of person to want to do this year after year. And I think they've done it for like 12 or 13 years. And guys, if you end up watching this and you've done it for like 20 years, I'm going to go ahead and apologize now. But even if you've done it for 12 or 13 years, that's a hell of an accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, it's just something I look forward to every year. And I'm glad you two have allowed me to add this to the fuel pod. And Mike, it's good to see you kind of get involved in it too, man. So I really appreciate that.
It's been so much fun watching this. You know, we've been comparing this to Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Just surviving this thing is like Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And these guys, they're out here because they love it. And just like Everest, some people don't survive. And unfortunately, we had a bike rider, Charles Falcon, crashed his bike stage 2, was airlifted out of there. And unfortunately, he passed away due to injury. And
oh my God, man!
Like I said, it's Everest. It's survival, and I appreciate what these guys are doing because
it's not every day
and they're actually putting their lives on the line.
And it's not every day you get to go out doing the thing you love, man. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't.
Oh, yeah.
99% of people don't get to choose that. And I know that's no consolation prize as far as that goes, but, and, you know, my hat's off to him and his team, and my heart's out to his family as well. But, you know, this is not an easy sport to do. I can't do it. You know what I mean? I talk about it every week, but I can't do it. So yeah, nothing but love for these guys. So I wish them the best and finishing stage 12 and getting to hoist that wonderful, beautiful Dakar trophy. So that's just an absolute cool thing. But yeah, so thanks, Mikey, for bringing that piece to us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, brother.
There's a lot of dangers.
Yeah. There we go. Bring it back up.
All right, so let's move on and talk about some Formula One, which is, you know, normally 90% of this podcast, but unfortunately we don't have anything going on Formula One till the 22nd and 23rd of February when they go to Qatar for some, you know, winter testing, and then March 2nd is the first race in Bahrain. If you're a sim racer, I know it's your least favorite race of the year because it feels like we race Bahrain more than anywhere else. But the biggest thing last week was Guenther Steiner getting shit canned. This week was McLaren freaking Stealth Ninja dropping that livery for 2024. So if you're looking at this slide on the left side specifically, that's the new McLaren livery right below the words McLaren F1, and that's their last year livery. On the right, you kind of have the 2020 through 2023 evolution of that car. So we'll just go around the horn here and talk about if you like it or not. So we'll start with Jason, since you're right below me on the picture. What do you think of the 2024 car?
It's like the same as the 2023 car. I don't know. I'm not really big on this car particularly. It's just not the colors. I don't like them. I don't like them. I just don't like it.
Okay.
It almost looks
like Mikey.
Yeah.
You know I like it. But tell you what I really like is the whole Ninja drop. All these teams have been posting their release date.
Yeah.
Right? McLaren says, nah, we're ready now. Let's go, boys.
I mean, at the very least, it's a livery. They did say that this doesn't reflect the design of the car. which for me, I think the side pods look a little bit different on the 2024 car
Yeah.
already. So we'll see how that goes. It also looks like the end plate on the front wing is a little less pronounced on the new car, but that could just be from depending on the distance that it is. It also looks like the rear wing doesn't have as much of a cut in the bottom portion next to the rear wheels. So it's definitely a different car already. As far as the colors go, I'm kind of sick, and I know why everybody's doing it. Making their car 60%, carbon fiber and no paint because they're trying to cut on weight. But I think it's making the cars boring.
Yeah.
I do like this car. I miss the baby blue. I think that blaze blue was able to set off that black. I wish they would have taken the 2024 car and just putting some flares of that baby blue in there.
Yeah, that black it's just the black and orange it doesn't do it for me.
Like if you look at the cars over there on the right, I love the 2022 car.
Yeah.
I love how it looks. Mainly because it doesn't have the Rainbow Warrior hubcaps for Google Chrome on it. And I say that as a Google Chrome person. I love those baby blue wheel covers as well.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, man. I just miss when the cars were mostly color and not just carbon fiber. But my hat's off to them for dropping that thing early and being the first out of the gate. Because as we get through the rip from the paddock section, I think you're going to see that I think this Ninja drop had a lot to do with what I'm going to talk about when we get to that. So that being said, let's go on to rip from the paddock. I'll leave this McLaren piece up right now because I don't really need it. But anyway, so the first article, of course, rip from the paddock is articles from the Formula One website that we haven't actually read. And we're just going to discuss them and pretend we know what we're talking about. So the first one is, I'm not trying to be Guenther Steiner, talking about the new guy. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Takamoto.
Something. Ayo Takamoto. And sorry, I know I butchered that name, and I apologize because
I don't even think you got
I apologize,
close.
and then I'm about to just absolutely slam you when he said, I'm not trying to be Guenther Steiner. So my comments are this. That's a good thing because you ain't him.
Yep.
I know from watching DTS that the only thing I heard him say in the 5 seasons of DTS were, okay, we'll fix it, boss, when Guenther Steiner jumped his shit in the post-race briefing one time. And dude, I'm sure this dude is world class. I mean, you don't get to be just like the drivers. If you're not in the top 0.5% of your game, you're not going to end up on a Formula One team. So I'm glad he's not going to just try to fill the Guenther Steiner shoes. That being said, I feel like from a Drive to Survive standpoint, Haas is going to be irrelevant.
Absolutely.
Whenever they do the first season, which won't be this season because Guenther Steiner was, available for 2023.
We still got another year, so
another full season of Guenther Steiner. The 2024 season, I don't see too many episodes centralizing on Haas unless one of the drivers really has a standout year, which is possible, and I'll get to that later. So what are your all's 2 cents on I'm not trying to be Guenther Steiner? What do you think he does need to be?
A good team lead. Maybe get Haas, up there a little bit.
Okay. Mikey?
So here's my thoughts on the guy. I kind of feel sorry for the guy because the problem with Haas is still there. And that's Gene Haas. And putting putting stuff into that car. That's still the problem. The problem's still there. I don't think this guy's going to get a fair shake. Hopefully he can get out of there.
Yeah, and I hope so too. And as the only American team on the grid, I do wish them luck. I want them to succeed. But I couldn't agree with you more when you said I think the problem is Gene Haas. Because I feel like it almost feels like F1 is a throwaway hobby for him. And maybe I'm wrong, man. I don't live there. I don't live in Mooresville, and I'm not involved in the daily discussions at the corporate headquarters. But you know, I just, like I said, I feel like it's a throwaway hobby for him that he's just not altogether focused in. I mean, he's not at most of the races.
No.
Most of the time, Guenther had to do a phone call to him at the end to let him know what happened, which made me feel like he wasn't even watching the races. You've got Andretti wanting to just pop in there and buy a team.
Yeah.
And there's already been rumors that Gene Haas might back, and I don't think those are valid, but that Gene Haas might back out and that Andretti might step in and buy that team. So you know, it's 6 of one thing, half dozen of the other, but I just don't think Haas is going to be that much better this year. Maybe they're going to be a little bit better, and I'll get to that in a minute. So my second article from Rip from the Paddock is McLaren, the team set to take the fight to Red Bull in 2024. So real quick, before anybody comments, let's just go yes or no around the table. I'm saying yes.
Yes.
No.
Says the McLaren fan. All right, so real quick, since you're no, let me defend my yes real quick. So McLaren, who, by the way, I picked to finish 9th or 10th last year when we did our beginning of 2023 season, I picked them to finish 9th or 10th.
And what did you predict for this year?
Huh?
What did you predict
where did
for
I
this year?
put them this year?
Yeah.
I
Holy
picked
scripture.
McLaren to finish 2nd this year. So I do have them up front. But my defense for them is that they slowly but steadily, and I think all of you would agree with this, they slowly but steadily, they buckled down. They got that car where it needed to be. And if they had performed the first half of the season the way they performed the second half of the season, I think they would have finished P2. That's my 2 cents on that. Mikey?
The reason I said no, well, there's my fandom. My team never wins, so that's kind of holding me back a little bit.
You've got fandom syndrome.
But it's just Red Bull is half an hour ahead of the rest of the field.
Well, I'm not saying, I wasn't asking you if McLaren was going to win the thing. Are they the ones set to be P2 and fight Red Bull? That was my question. That was actually Formula One website's question. Sorry.
I got you. Will they really be in a fight with Red Bull, or will they be in a fight for second?
Okay, I see what you're saying. You're right. So you don't think they will actually week after week be able to fight Red Bull?
No, I think Red Bull will run away with it again, just like they did, last season. I think they're one of 2 cars that I think are second, and that's pretty much what it's become. It's what's the fight for second. That's where the thrill is.
Okay, Jason?
They ran a good season. They ran good, very good last season. They were doing better towards the end. I think they have a good shot at being P2 for a good bit of the season. It kind of just depends what they do with this car. Red Bull's they're so ahead on their car. It just kind of depends.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, Horner admits everything is open for 2025 Red Bull lineup with Ricciardo back in the fold. I'll go ahead and start with this one because I'm kind of a homer on this one. I was excited when I saw this headline, and I struggled, guys, not to actually read this article. I would love to see an older, wiser Ricciardo, especially after an article I read last week talking about the things he's had to get rid of in his repertoire in order to focus more on his racing. So as he's obviously one of those guys that's aging gracefully as a race driver. And I look forward to seeing what he can do in that AlphaTauri this year. But yes, man, I'm flat out going to tell you, I would love to see him back in a Red Bull, even if it's in a support role for Verstappen. I would love to see him come in P2, P3 week after week.
Yeah.
Yes, I will jump onto the Red Bull bandwagon specifically for Danny Ricciardo because I love the way he
That's the
drives.
perfect place for him.
I love his overtaking. Nobody does an overtake. If he's in a
Like
good
Danny
car,
Rick.
nobody does. If he's in a good car, nobody other than Fernando Alonso does an overtake as well as and risky ass late breaking overtakes like Daniel Ricciardo does.
Yeah.
But he has to have the car to do it. So yes, I'm totally behind this move.
Oh yeah.
Jason, we'll go to you this time.
Yeah, as someone who started with Drive to Survive, getting into F1, I would love to see Danny Rick in a Red Bull car again.
Okay.
And if he's a support for Verstappen, I think he would still do wonderful in that car. I'm hoping he'll do well in the AlphaTauri car this season. But if he comes in for 2025 in a Red Bull car, that's game on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that handles that discussion. Jason, I think you have to go through, since you're late to the party on predictions.
Oh boy.
I'm going to let you go through your predictions.
All right.
Take it away.
Okay, so I was given this list and I had to very, very, I had to pick my answers very carefully here. But for the final standings for 2024, I got in 10th place. I have Kick. I just don't think they're gonna do well. 9th, I have Williams. They're also not gonna do very well. They've still got Sargent, don't they? They still have Sargent. They're not gonna do very well. 8th, I got Haas. 7, I have AlphaTauri. 6, I have Aston Martin. 5th place, I've got Alpine. 4th, I have Mercedes. 3rd, I've got Ferrari. 2nd, McLaren, and then number 1 is going to be Red Bull for that prediction. Most podiums not Verstappen. I'm going Piastri. That was kind of a hard. It's Verstappen. I don't know. That's a hard one to pick for. Most did not finish. Going Sargent. Will the China GP happen? Yes, I think it's going to happen. I hope that one happens. Which teams will have the biggest gains? I have McLaren. Which team will be the biggest loser? I've got Williams. The most exciting race? I've got Bahrain. Kickoff of the F1 season. That's going to be awesome. Most boring race. And the reason I picked this is because I can't drive for anything on this track in the F1 games. I got Qatar. And then driver with a surprise win. I'm going Lando Norris.
So you can't drive at Jeddah?
No.
Who'd you? Wait. Whoa. Where'd that go?
Whoa. Oh,
who was your driver with the biggest surprise win?
Lando Norris.
Okay, so that's funny because I had Ricciardo, but not driving the AlphaTauri. I had him
in a Red Bull car.
My biggest surprise win was him in the Red Bull car because Perez was either out from being sick or hungover, or he had just got fired.
Or because Christian Horner puts out statements like he did and fries his head.
We're totally behind Perez, but I'm totally open for Ricciardo coming back. So, and then Mikey had Piastri for biggest surprise win.
I almost put Piastri, but I think Piastri. I think Piastri is going to do good, and I think he's going to get. I have a very good feeling that he gets more podiums, other than Verstappen. That would be awesome.
Make sure you keep your list, by the way, because I need to inscribe this into the Holy Scriptures.
Scriptures? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so you can text it to me or save it on a Google Doc and share it with me. So, yeah. All right, so we have your predictions. Moving on. So we had the new liveries for the World Rally Championship introduced this week. So as you know, we've only got, if you are a rally fan, we've only got 3 cars that are in it. On the top left there, you see the Hyundai i20. That's their new livery, which I freaking hate because I think it looks like it's 1987 on that car. I love that car. I mean, I'm sure it's a wonderful car, but yeah, that livery is terrible. They're on the right in the middle, and the biggest of the 3 is my favorite one, which is the Toyota Gazoo Racing. Yeah, the Yaris. I love that car. That thing is awesome looking. It's pretty.
That thing is pretty sweet.
And then to the bottom left, we have the M Sport Ford Puma, which also is a pretty car, but all Red Bull cars are. So it's kind of unfair with Red Bull. But I like what Gazoo did with actually really owning the GR and Gazoo Racing and throwing that on the total side of that car.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure their hypercars in WEC will have the same look.
Yeah, I saw the hypercar. I was actually going to put that on here and go, look, they copied the hypercar, but maybe it was the other way around, but who knows?
It looks good.
The funny thing is, I mean, I have drivers that I love in rally that are in all 3 of these cars. So I'm looking forward to seeing them all go. Whether it's Elvin Evans or Terry Newville or I definitely won't be an Oitanic fan this year, so that's going to suck. Because I used to like him, but yeah, I mean, I feel like he did Hyundai and Ford wrong, and it sucks. But looking forward to seeing what all these guys do. Can Cali Rovanpera take the title 3 years in a row and put himself well on track to start equaling the Sebs of the world, the Sebastians of the world? So we'll see what happens. But yeah, looking forward to World Rally. And of course, today is January 18th, and they have that rally. When is that? It's the weekend of the 25th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to pull up the calendar real quick. Yeah. So it's the 25th through the 28th of January. They'll be at Monte Carlo for the first rally of the season, and we'll see how that goes. You guys want to go ahead and make predictions on that rally? Or do you want to wait till next week?
We can wait.
It's kind of unfair, though, because when we do the show next week, the shakedown will have already happened. And so you'll kind of already know who's kind of got pace and who doesn't. So I'm going to be a dick right now and force you into predictions now.
Do it.
What's your prediction?
You don't need to do who's the winner of Rally Monte Carlo.
Who's the winner? Esapekka Lapi.
Okay. Jason?
Gotta be honest, never watched it, so this will be the first year I'll be getting into it. So I'll just have to do a little bit of. That's why I said wait till next week. So
okay, so who you should root for the Rally Monte Carlo?
I'm gonna get gaslit here.
Terry Newville.
Terry Newville. Yeah, I'll keep it.
Terry Newville.
Keep it in my notes.
Who do I want to win? Elvin Evans. But I think he'll be up there. I think he'll be top 3 on the podium, and I think Esapekka will be up there because he's got a lot to prove this year. He had a couple late season like oops moves, and I'm hoping he fixes that because contrary to popular belief, I do like Esapekka a lot because I think he's got a kind of a meteoric rise into Rally 1. Plus his name is just hilarious. I know, Mikey, that's how you kind of latched onto him at the beginning, was making fun of me for saying. I remember when Chad used to, he would not be able to get through the episode when I'd say Esapekka Lapi without busting out laughing. So anyway, that is some crazy global dirt racing. But Jason, I think you're wanting to bring us closer to home.
A little more local, yeah.
And we've never done this on the show.
Really local.
One of the reasons I wanted to bring you on here and get you involved in this, because I know not only do you absolutely love this, but Mikey, this guy spent time in the pits in the dirt track in the outlaw style racing.
Wow.
And happens to know quite a few people on that dirt side. So I'm going to let him go ahead and kick this off and Talk to us, Jason. Tell us about it.
All righty. So what we got? We have the Chili Bowl, which is our local Tulsa, Oklahoma midget class car race. We've got they do heat races and they do qualifyings, and we have a couple. I have a couple things I'm going to talk about, kind of getting to know what the Chili Bowl is. Obviously, the picture midget car. It's like a wingless sprint car. They're all push to start, so this track is a little rough to drive on. If you hit the berm and if your car stops, nobody can go out there and just push it for you. So you DNF right there and then.
So it's a lot like F1 in that regard. If you stop, I know in F1, if you're stopped for 10 seconds or more, you're out. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't get to restart your car.
Yep. And there's 3 different sets of features. And they're alphabetically from O to A. So O to G, there's 10 lap, and they take the top 6. From F to C is 15 lap features, and then B feature 1 and 2 are 20 laps apiece, and then the big feature, which is A1, is 55 laps.
Okay, so how do you progress through that? Do you have to finish one of those to get to the next one?
So like if you start, let's say you start C2, if you start C feature 2 and you win and you get top, I think it's 6. If you get top 6 in C feature 2, you'll get to race again in B feature 1 to then, if you win that, to make it to A main.
Okay.
So it's kind of, that gives you one. If you win, that gives you one race to get your car back in order to go back out.
Okay.
And this track is super small compared to other tracks out there. It's less than half a mile, probably. I mean, you could probably throw a football from one corner.
What's the name of this track?
I don't know the exact name for it. I did way back when I was actually watching this. This is the first year I've watched it. I didn't pay attention.
This was
like,
Tulsa,
at all.
though, right?
It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, it happens. They do it every year. Big race. This is where if you want to race, this is where you want to do it at.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember back when Tony Stewart was in NASCAR racing for championships in that Home Depot, he would come and race this, right? This is kind of like his big deal.
Yeah. And he was actually there this week to watch some of those races, so it was pretty cool seeing him in interviews and stuff.
That's pretty cool.
But I doubt he can squeeze into the cab of one of those.
He's not squeezing one of those. No way.
But you do know some NASCAR guys that do squeeze into this. You want to get into that?
I do know. So we obviously, big guy. He races anything you can think of. If it's got a steering wheel and pedals, it's getting driven. It's Kyle Larson. He actually didn't do too hot here. He was going back and forth at the same time. Wow. Nice. He was going back and forth from Tulsa to New Mexico each day. This is a 6-day span. He was going back from Tulsa to New Mexico. He was flying every day back and forth to race 2 different cars.
He can afford it.
Yeah, he would race. He's racing a stock car in New Mexico at, I think it's Veta is what it's called.
Okay.
He's doing that this week, and I think the last race is tonight. And then he would come back and he would race the midget car in Tulsa. But he did not do that well. He made it through his heat race, his qualifyings, smooth, flawless.
Okay.
He didn't even start in the equal. At his last heat race, he actually wrecked and flipped twice in the midget car. And these cars, when you wreck them, it's not fun. It is brutal. You're thrown everywhere. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of room to work with on this track either. So he flipped his car, and
his NASCAR agent was probably not crazy happy about that.
If it's Kyle Larson and he wrecks a car, it's never happy for him. It's not going to turn out great. But we also had Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who actually used to race. He actually used to race Chili Bowl. That's how he got noticed. That's how he got picked up in NASCAR, was racing this race right here. And he was doing really well. He did great in his feature and all of his, obviously his qualifying. He came 4th. He started in E1, so alphabetical. He started E1 in his feature. He won that first place. And if you win your first feature and you go to a next feature, you start back of the field. So he started back of D1. He moved up 12 positions to get into 4th. really, that's a crazy. I don't even know how that happened. That was insane watching.
Well, let me
He
ask
moved
you a
up.
question because you've watched a lot of midget racing. Do you think it's
That
beneficial to
don't sound
start
right.
from the rear so that you can let all the guys fight it out at the front and
Here's what you
do
don't
their
want. You
thing?
don't want to start. You don't want to start at the very back, and you don't want to start at the very beginning. You don't want to start P1. You don't want to start at the very back of the field. You
Okay.
don't want to do it. Your best is starting P2 to like the midfield. That's where you kind of want to be in these cars, at least. I mean, you're taking turns at 80 miles an hour in a cardboard box. And so anything, if you turn the wheel wrong and you're on a turn, it's flipping. So you don't really want to be front. You don't want to be back. It's just kind of how that runs.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a quick question for you and maybe an observation. So these things it's a short quarter-mile oval, right?
Yeah.
Are they pretty much full throttle and just drift the entire time?
So when they start this race, they are immediately full throttle. When the lights green, they're gone. 80 miles every corner. You don't really hit the brakes drifting these. You literally are just drifting the entire track.
Yeah, so I've seen these things wreck before on little videos and stuff, but I've never really looked at it up close. And it's kind of reminded me, what's the name of that carnival ride? Is it the Sizzler? Got the cages that sit there, flipping.
Yeah.
We call it here. It's like a zipper.
So
I think it's what it's called.
We called it the scrambler where I grew
the
up.
scrambler. There
Yeah.
you go. The nightmare scenario of one of the things breaking off that we all had, right? This happens.
That every time these are in the track. If they're racing our local tracks, we've got a couple here. But if these ever come down, you want to go and watch them. You're gonna see a wreck, and it's gonna be crazy.
But I know at like Bonham, what's the name of the racetrack at Bonham again?
Bonham, I know Ardmore, and then I know we have Grayson.
Yeah, Grayson is the one I'm talking about. It's close. Yeah,
that's the close track. Yeah,
but I know like only a couple times a year they do like a World of Outlaws sponsored event where they have those cats come in and do their thing. And I know you and I've gotten to go there a couple, and I know with your mom and Ted, you've gotten to go there quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
with Brandon's race team. So hopefully, man, we need to get them on the show one night and talk about this because they're right there. They're right there in the mix. It'd be great to have them.
Yeah, on. Brand races a car. So
ever since Chad and I began the show, we've been trying to get some people to showcase some local racing because that's important to us too. Because I think anything that increases the knowledge of motorsport just in general is a good thing. It's one of the last great gladiator style sports, man, where it's you against you and not just your field of competitors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, these cars look crazy. And then of course, do they do like are these are a lot smaller, or would you say than like the sprints?
Not necessarily. Well, yeah, probably. Getting into it,
Maybe
it's gonna be smaller.
Sprints.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, it's definitely smaller.
It's a scrambler.
Sprints are brutal.
Yeah,
you flip one of those, there's no telling what'll happen.
I know that my favorite form of the dirt track is the late models.
Oh yeah, late models are really fun to watch.
I like the. I'm always going to use this car as an example because it was one of my favorite cars back in the day. But a lot of those cars look like the 85 to 87 Buick Grand National, which was considered a ridiculous race car back in the day. Mikey knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, wow, we've got comments, and I wasn't even on there. There he is.
Yeah, Eric. Yep. There is indeed a sprint night coming up at GCS.
Yeah, we need to all go, man.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to all go and do
nights
like
are fun.
We could do an on track or an at the track side style episode, which would be really cool.
That would be really cool.
So he says Outlaws are in Ardmore, but sprints are at Grayson.
See, Outlaws at Ardmore, they're gonna do Outlaws are also really fun to watch. We don't go to Ardmore as often. I mean, that's obviously a drive we just don't like doing.
I don't know what that word is. It looks like on Livestream.
I think he's trying to say do an live
Yeah,
stream.
I know. I'm messing with us, but yeah,
Someone sure has a lot of information and
should
instructions.
just be on the
for
show.
That'd be
someone
huh?
that won't get on the show.
Maybe you can come
Yeah.
correct on my faults here. Hey, actually here.
Yeah, but yeah, I know he likes this. Him and Chaz love this shit anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of times I've been over at the house and they've just been watching midgets and outlaw sprints
Every day,
and
every
whatnot,
night I came
winglet
home from
sprints.
work, walking in the living room, and there was chili bowls happening right there.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's cool to know.
Yeah.
So he's just throwing out comments left and right now.
Wow.
So
Of course.
Why? I mean, he could almost have an entire segment just in the comment
You know,
section here.
it's funny. I texted
It's-
him earlier and I said, you would really like being on this episode of the show. But here he is dropping in all the comments. So
Yeah.
I know he's busy tonight. He told me he's stuck in front of a monitor as an IT guy. But
Well, that IT guy is the reason I'm here right now. So, shout out to Eric there.
oh yeah, absolutely. So can't wait to get him back on the show. Hopefully get him a little less busy and get him back on here because
That'd be pretty sweet.
if you do end up watching this episode, he's kind of our Sam Collins / car historian guy.
Encyclopedia.
Yeah. So
Random
definitely
facts
love
about
having him
cars.
on here.
Yeah, ask Eric.
Plus, he's got the softest voice in radio. This is Eric Farmer with
Yeah.
KTT 104.7 on your FM dial. But anyway, so yeah, dude, thank you for bringing this to us tonight. And I hope it's something we can continue. And I hope you put something together, at least every other week, if not every week, so we can.
Well,
we
starting
can
March, it'll be every week. I can tell you
Yeah.
that right now.
Yeah, I'd like us to start doing the local standings and get the names of some of these guys out there if they'll allow it. Make sure you reach out to them though before we mention them on the show. But get them some publicity, man, because these guys are the unsung heroes of racing, as far as I'm concerned. Whether it's whatever your local dirt track or hardball track or tarmac track or whatever, these are the guys that get it started and get that fever going for people that get into motorsport. So, I hope it's something we can do on a regular basis. Jason, thank you very much for
Yeah,
getting
that
this
was
to
really
us
cool.
tonight.
Really cool.
Seriously. So I'm going to take this off of there and we'll go back to the
full screen.
Go back to he's in the lobby. I don't see him. Oh, there he is. Holy crap, I have to scroll down.
No way.
There he is.
There he is.
Eric Farmer.
What?
Damn. I'll be damned, boys.
Did you want to throw your 2 cents in before we move on to what Mikey's got going tonight?
That Jason was covering Chili Bowl and stuff like that. Just like you said, that's our wheelhouse. I grew up around Paris Auto Speedway out in California and watched big SCRA and USAC Sprint boys run back in the day, and so many NASCAR people come from that genre of racing. It's kind of as karts are to F1, midgets and sprints are to NASCAR. And I hate to say it, I much prefer watching the midgets and sprints than the NASCAR, but it's really good down home grassroots racing. Just about everybody can drive within an hour somewhere in the country and be able to find a good short track sprints. It's a great deal, and it's good to see, you guys talking about going down to Grayson County. I'd love to do that. That would be a ton of fun, and do a live stream. That's what
I'd love to roll down there in force
stream,
with all of us and eat some Frito chili pie and talk about dirt
I'll tell you
track
what,
racing because-
GCS got some crazy Frito chili pies.
Well,
a
couple
go
times
ahead.
past few months, I've been shooting photos down there. So, been down there for the stocks and the modifieds.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and man, I think anytime you get that opportunity, and folks, listen, if you're out there and you're a race fan, and like even if you watch like the movie, and Eric and I've talked about this many times, but watch the movie Ford versus Ferrari, and
Oh, yeah.
you see all the time they spend in that movie at Willow Springs. And, you know, for the most part, even at that point in history, that was already pretty much just a test track. And you look at these dirt track races, and he was talking about NASCAR guys getting their start, and you talk about Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart, and then the newer guys, Kyle Larson, and who else were you talking? Oh, Ricky Stenhouse. And
Oh,
those
God.
guys getting their start on those tracks, man. That's
And-
a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, think about Ryan Blaney. Shit. His dad is Dave Blaney.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, don't say that because I always called Ryan Dave by accident already, so that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's just me getting old, but I'm like, it's Dave Blaney.
Well, that's that.
You're lucky I don't call Chase Elliott Bill Elliott all the time.
No shit. Blelliot.
Elliott. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an old one. You bet.
But yeah, I'd love for us to roll down there and force one night to Grayson or roll up to Ardmore together and pull out the mobile mics. And
If there's an Outlaws race, Ardmore would be a great one to go to as well.
Well, Jason, you're our contact since you have, you basically he has first source information on a mechanic.
Yeah,
So,
I heard about that.
Yeah. So, so anyway, yeah, his mechanic built that studio he's sitting in right now. Although you do need to make your bed, buddy. I can see that from here.
I came home from work and just took a nap.
Yeah,
so you
gotcha.
Love it.
But Mikey, you wanted to roll us into the last part of our show, which as we start to get into the endurance portion of this season, we're talking about the Rolex 24. Am I correct?
Yes. So at Daytona, the Rolex 24 is coming up. This weekend is the Roar before the 24.
Yes.
And it's practice and qualifying.
Yes.
There's
So what's the
59 cars,
format?
I believe.
Okay.
Great.
What classes are we getting? Are we getting hypercar or is it basically just IMSA?
It's IMSA. There's Eric.
It's IMSA classes.
Okay.
It's GTD. It's all the stuff.
So we're getting Cadillac and Corvette and who else?
You'll have all the prototypes, but the you've got the new DP, right? So that'll be, and then I don't know. I think there's going to be an LMP2. I know there's going to be an LMP3, and then you're also going to have Pro M classes in each of the classes. So you're going to have subclasses. There's probably going to be, all said and done, 10 classes. 7.
So we're going to have are we going to have GT3 level vehicles in there as well? Are we looking at, and I'm just asking, are we going to have the Supra and the Corvette? No,
I'm not sure what manufacturers are participating works wise, but all those performance level, yes.
Okay, so I saw last week, and this was the first, and I'll be honest with you, I've been so spread out because of Dakar and everything going on, but just in general. But I noticed Mustang has a new entry this year in GT classes. Is that going to be competing in IMSA and WEC, or is it strictly GT World Challenge?
No idea whatsoever. If it's in GTWC, I would imagine it's an evolution of the V8 Supercar Mustang.
Okay.
Because those formulas are not too far off, and you have similar players in both of those series as far as car builders and owners. But
yeah, and the funny thing is, I was worried about because I thought I was gonna. Anytime a car it's their first year back in or it's their first year in general, I'll typically run them down because that first year is always usually rough. But then you look at the year that Cadillac had in hypercar, and freaking amazing year. I mean, Ferrari, of course, had a great year as well, taking Le Mans for their class. But Cadillac has nothing to be ashamed about when it comes to hypercar as we move into the WEC season. Now, as far as the Rolex goes, I mean, it's a crapshoot at Daytona.
That Cadillac is one of the meanest sounding hypercars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No shit.
When that thing bump starts, it sounds like the Imperial March. It's it's crazy sounding.
And I know this is off topic. I realize this is off topic, so I'm just going to say it. But one of my favorite things from the past motorsport year, and I just now thought about it with Eric bringing up that Cadillac, is the amount of feedback from the European community on the Camaro, the Garage 59 Camaro at Le Mans.
Yeah.
Talking about it was the meanest sounding car they'd ever heard in their life.
I don't know about mean. They damn sure said loud.
Yeah. It was,
it was loud.
It's an American car. We're not going to produce something you can't hear.
Oh, yeah. No, you can hear this one.
I swear to God, even if we did a hybrid car where it was like, they would probably put speakers in there and pump out fake sound to make it sound like it was fuel driven. But
great job, and they were quick too, and reliable, and that was neat to see.
Hey, man, Eric, while we got you on here, just because I think it'll be fun, can we get you locked in on at least your top 3 Formula One predictions for this year and your bottom 3?
Just 3 good things that'll happen, 3 bad things?
No, your 3 top teams, first
finishing
1 through 3,
teams.
And then 8, 9, 10.
Okay, well, there's only 2 to pick at the top because one's Red Bull.
Okay. This will be the one I'm interested in.
Yeah,
will be the one we're all interested in. Is number 2.
These aren't necessarily in a particular order. I'll say that. I mean, there's only 2 left, so
okay.
Are we talking?
I love tech guys, man.
Like,
lock it in.
He's probably tearing that car up from roof to floor.
What I would love to predict is who's going to do well at the beginning of the season, the first 5-6 races. But as we all know, Aston Martin last year, that shit changes real quick.
Yeah.
Once the stages start to come into the season, then it changes. Who do I think is going to hit the ground running? Red Bull, Mercedes, and here's the tough one: is who else?
Spirit hands.
McLaren. My heart wanted to say Ferrari, but
yeah,
I put Ferrari. I gotta be honest. I put Ferrari top 3.
I didn't even put.
That's my heart, not my head. You know.
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I went Ferrari number 3.
I did as well. Yeah.
I would put Ferrari at P4 though. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I put Mercedes at P4
for sure. Haas 10th, or 10th in the constructors.
Wow.
Okay. They got rid of Guenther. Fuck them.
There you go.
It's like the whole last 2 episodes have been about him.
I feel like we could do a whole episode on Guenther Steiner because
we probably could.
Guenther Steiner, because first of all, he's a surrogate American. Right?
I was getting ready to say, man, as Americans, he was the most American, not American I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. And despite the name and the accent, do you know what nationality Guenther Steiner is? His actual nationality?
I would go German.
Yeah.
Well, of course, right? Or Austrian or something, right? No,
yeah.
He's Italian.
What?
Yeah, I know he lives in Italy now. I mean, yeah, he's been living.
Italian.
Really?
He's from so far north in the Italian Alps that he lived in one of those border like Alsace or Alsatian area, you know, and he's culturally Germanic but nationally Italian. That's why
insane.
He and Bonotto are such good friends. They live real close to each other and have.
Well, yeah. And that was one of my favorite episodes of last season of Drive to Survive, was just showing those two hanging out, because I think why they get along is they're like polar opposites in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Guenther farted in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, intentionally to fuck with.
And, you know, Bonotto's one of those like Dalai Lama guru types, and Guenther's like one of those full-fledged in your face F-bomb guys. I I think a lot of that is living in Mooresville, North Carolina for so many years. But
and working for fucking Gene Haas, no doubt.
Yes, no shit.
But I definitely would not put Bonotto in the what did you say? How did you
I said the Dalai Lama guru role.
Bonotto's more in the I married my high school sweetheart. I have a PhD and I've worked at the same place my entire life kind of guy.
Yeah. Okay. I'll agree with that.
Yeah. I'll refrain from being crude. And I love the team. I love Bonotto. Don't get me wrong. I would love to hang out with him, have a few beers. But he is an odd cat. That position, he is an odd cat.
Yeah, I miss having him around too, man. And I think there was a rumor this week that Guenther might land at Alpine, and I brought that up earlier on this show before you got here.
Well,
and I used what's that?
They got rid of Otmar, with that whole bullshit.
Yeah.
And if they had that, and I know why that happened, it was because of the 100 race requirement that Otmar put on them.
Yeah.
And the corporate board that has no engineering sense, no technical sense of any kind. They just want to throw money at something and make it happen, and they don't understand that that's not possible. You can throw money and make something happen. Look at Mercedes. How long it took them? It took them 9 seasons from hiring Michael Schumacher as their test driver out of retirement to become what they are today in the hybrid.
Agreed. And a lot of people don't see that because a lot of people's entry into Formula One is the show, is Drive to Survive.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching this legitimately watching it myself, even as a young kid, probably since about 92. I think the first season I remember was Mansell. And that because he won the F1 World Championship, and then he came to what at the time what was called CART, IndyCar as we know it now, and won the championship and the Indy 500 the same year. That it was incredible.
Yeah, and my first year was Mansell's win, was his last world championship win, and then and then I actually, oddly enough, because of where life took me, I missed out on the Sebastian Vettel Red Bull years.
No way.
Those were the exact years that I was out of Formula One because I had no way to watch it because of where life had taken me.
Multi-21, Seb. Multi-21.
Yeah, and then I came back into it at the very beginning of Mercedes-Benz, of Lewis Hamilton's reign.
Yeah.
Nico Rosberg into Lewis Hamilton. So
yeah, I think they're. What was Lewis's first year at Mercedes? 11 or 12,
something like that, man. But
14, and that was many years after Michael and Nico. So, but they had an incredible crew, basically the Honda crew, right? I mean, the current Mercedes F1 is Honda F1, and it is the remnants of Honda, which, by the way, was not Honda for 1 year, and that was 2009. And can anybody tell me why it wasn't in 2009?
Well, normally I would be probably the only one in this group that could, and I can't.
I was 3 years old, so I can tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, do you feel old now?
Yeah,
I would have been 3.
He was 3.
Sunday, I feel very old. I promise.
How do you think I feel, dude? He's my son.
2009.
I still remember when he was this big.
He still is. What are you talking about? I'm looking at him.
He was a burrito supreme back then.
No, 2009 was the Braun year.
Ross Braun F1.
Ross Braun purchased the defunct, bankrupt Honda Formula One team for $1.
Yeah.
Took over the operations, paid all the salaries, all that, won the championship the first year, closed the doors, sold it to Mercedes.
And listen, folks, that was a great plug, by the way. If you have not watched the John Wick narrated Ross Braun F1 documentary on Hulu, you've missed out.
Yeah.
Make sure you watch it.
I haven't watched it either, but I know what it is, and I know the story of Ross.
Well, yeah, you know the story. So, yeah,
I mean,
you don't need to watch it. But, yeah.
Ross is, if it weren't for Adrian Newey, he would be the biggest sumbitch like that.
And, you think about that Braun year, but you kind of can reflect back to another guy that had a great team that came out of nowhere was Brabham. I feel like in a lot of ways that story equates to the Brabham story.
Didn't quite come out of nowhere unless you're talking about.
That's true.
I mean, Jack Brabham kind of won some world championships, but
but you're kind of on the and I'm in the middle of that, but you're kind of on the super nerd style F1 where everybody else, the normal layperson is, Mercedes, Renault, Ferrari.
Well, here's the cool part
Brabham
about
wouldn't equate in that mix, but
maybe the portion of Brabham that you're thinking about is like the fan car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the BT48, BT46, BT46B, cars like that in the mid early 80s. That was after Brabham went belly up and was purchased by none other than Mr. Bernie Ecclestone.
Of course.
And he hired one Gordon Murray to design his cars. That was Gordon's first top shelf F1 lead designer job.
And you guys do not want to get Eric started on Gordon Murray.
Greatest car ever to be built, bar none, end of story.
Without a doubt.
McLaren F1.
Without a doubt.
And Mikey, he's also the designer of the earliest, baddest Senna McLarens, those Senna in Prost Marlboro. Those are all Gordon Murray cars.
Okay.
And Mikey, this is also why we definitely need Eric to get his own spinoff show going and do his own version of Sam Collins Tech Corner.
We're gonna tangents
/ History Corner. Yeah, man. So, dude, thank you for being here tonight, man. Seriously, thank you for being clutch.
Cell phone on the knee, sitting on the couch, but
yeah, still totally worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always learn.
Learn so much every time you're on here. That's why I keep saying, dude, I text you every week and I'm like, dude, here we are. Be here tonight. So thank you for taking the time out because I know you're absolutely slam busy.
No, it's all and none of the knowledge that I have or the love that I have would exist without this asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, the silent contributor. I get it. I don't think anybody knows that better than I do, having spent quite a bit of time over there.
Most definitely.
But
most definitely.
Yeah, definitely need to get both of you guys on there one night and do your thing and pick a topic and we'll just let you guys go and I'll just sit there and go, wow. Oh.
I'll tell you what, let's talk about that. And also Jason,
okay.
I want Jason to hit me up on the Grayson County stuff and let's get that planned up.
Yes, let's do that. Definitely. Yeah, because technically we're going to need figure out what that's going to look like because it's going to be loud and we need to
very loud.
I don't know enough about doing
live stream mobile rig with lav mics and noise cancelers and stuff that we can use. So
sweet. And I know Mikey's talking about wanting to go down to, and you guys have been there. I know you were there for F1, but on a more lower key because I know there won't be as many people there. Talking about going down to Coda for either the WEC event or the GT World Challenge event that's down there.
Coda would be cool.
Yeah, because one of them is in May, and I think one of them is in September, and we'll talk about that. But
cool,
that would be cool to broadcast from there.
Yeah, and we have some friends down there too. So
yeah, and I can also get media credentials for Coda for those events, not for the F1 event, but for the GT World Challenge or WEC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
as long as still has some money left after the Tower Bandits.
Right. So, guys, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful show. Let's close it out tonight. I'm JNeil729 on Twitter, which is right there on the screen. That's JP Freak 625 on Twitter. That's 2Diddy4 on Twitter is Mikey. And Eric is F1 at F1 Farmer on Twitter. So hit us up. Let us know what you think about the show. We'll be back next week to talk about Rally Monte Carlo. We'll talk about biggest winners at Dakar, obviously, and we'll be getting close to winter testing on Formula One. So hopefully we'll have some car lunches to talk about, or at least some F1 drama and scuttlebutt to talk about. So thanks everybody for being here tonight, and we'll catch you next week on the Fuel Pod.
Later.
See y'all.
Good night.